All right. Now, before we continue, we do need to crank out a couple of space pods. So, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, we'll start with you if that's all right, simply because you're here on screen right now. We'll clear this out, and then did we want to bring everyone, is everyone okay coming back on and just having a casual conversation about whatever we gosh darn feel like?
And I have an update for you. I thought of a solution to the microphone since the space pod maybe, if we can solve it, should we try it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I plugged just a lapel mic straight into my Blackmagic.
Oh, sure.
Let's see if, or right into my,
So if you just take the audio from your,
instead of trying to feed it out my audio unit, we'll see if this works any better. All right, Dada, I'm going to switch on you. Let me know if it's better. Also, am I in focus? I can't tell.
Yeah, you seem in focus.
From there.
You can't tell?
Well, I mean, physically,
I don't have
emotionally,
a, monitor
mentally.
To really check against, really.
Nope, you're not on. I see you talking and I don't hear you.
No audio. Naudio.
Tim's sad face.
Not audio.
Not audio. Naudio.
Okay, you two. Nobody asked.
Not audio.
Point in the show.
No audio. Terrible.
Stop petting me.
Hi.
I don't know why that doesn't work. These things they don't need some phantom or anything.
I can't see what it is.
Yeah, they need a battery.
Oh, let me replace the battery and give that a try real quick. BRB. VRBO.
Taking too long.
I'm the
This
dumbest.
one. God.
Talent.
At least he's wearing pants.
We're not paying him for this, are we?
Yeah, we are.
Aren't we all paying?
In our own way.
Oh, I forgot to mention Skylon in the my list of.
So
This is somewhat intimidating with you. Like I feel
Let's try this. Ready? I'm gonna try it.
All right, do it.
Here we go, Black.
Do it. No.
Flip the switch on it.
We're told flip the switch.
Power helps, dude.
Do you know how your microphone works? Oh, no. Oh, wait. This is plugged into your Blackmagic camera, right? Yes, you have to set the, do you have an HDMI screen? Is that a studio or a cinema camera? Studio 1, Cinema 2. Studio 1, great. Cinema 2, so it has an SD card slot on the side, correct? Studio 1.
Noobs.
What did I just say to you, man?
Do you have it plugged into an HDMI screen? 1 for yes, 2 for no.
He can just shake his head, you know that.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Yes, great. You need to go into the audio settings for the camera and set your microphone level. It defaults to line level mic low. You need to set it to mic high.
Yes.
Ah!
Here's what we're gonna do. This is my crappy webcam.
Oh, hey, look at that.
But now I can't see this. So
This is amazing. Yep. All right. So menu. Yep. It's all backwards for you too, I bet. Science.
It is
all right.
very
Audio.
confusing for
One
me.
to your right.
Oh God.
Watch.
One
This is
to my
happening in
right.
real time, people. I may have done this once or twice.
That's the wrong way.
This is a tutorial on
Inputs, microphone level, input levels. See where it says line? That needs to say mic or mic high.
Where are we at?
Go down 2 more. Right there.
Okay, like I said, it's backwards and about the size of a peanut.
Mic high. Select that. Channel 1 input. Scroll down to, that's probably fine. That's probably fine. Yep, you should be good there. You can menu out of that.
Okay, let me switch over here.
Ha-ha.
in Skype.
Ha. And you're about -20, which is about where I want to be.
Do you have me? You have me.
We do.
That was still the webcam.
We do, but with like horrible audio latency. Wait, yeah, just.
Oh, because you guys messed around with it, remember?
No.
Have Dada reset it.
No. Like, no. Dada, what was your offset set to? 200 and something or 300 and something?
In case you look really closely.
Is it like all sorts of wonk?
Yeah.
226.
Yeah, so 226 is about expected, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Talk again?
Dang it. Is it like real bad now?
Keep talking.
Keep talking. All right. Here
Actually,
we go.
data
Chickadee check.
bypass.
I mean,
Whoa.
yeah, because it should be coming in the same as the video now. It's all in the same unit. We didn't have to sync audio and video separately, so.
No,
I'll bet if it's
the
zeroed
delay
out.
is the delay issue is kind of on our side. That's amazing that you're attaching it there. All right, keep talking.
Check 1, 2. Test for a friend. Test for you. Test for me. Test
All
for
right.
everyone in between. Test for.
All right,
Is that still okay?
that's with audio delays bypassed, right?
I bypassed and it's like it needs to be like half of what it was. I'm like 145 now. I need
What
more
about
words.
SDI? I switched it to SDI now. Is it better?
No, hang on. We're almost there. Keep
Don't-
talking.
Don't change anything on
take
your end.
one.
Just keep talking.
Okay. Well, I had to switch to SDI so you don't see that HDMI thing.
Yeah, we look good. 144.
144? Awesome. So what's interesting is you're adding more delay on your side, but we can take it out on our side.
Yeah, girl.
Let me re-mic check him. Tim, words by yourself, please.
Okay. All right, so hi. I'm going to be talking about a little Delta rocket here today. And it's some sad news with the Delta Schmelta Airlines.
All right, we're
This
good,
is
thanks.
not the airline company. How is that? Is that
God,
better?
I thought the Delta 2s were dead. I mean, I knew
Yeah,
that
we're
we
good.
had them, but I thought they were gone.
Yeah, no, not yet.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this thing. Dada, you ready?
Well, make an announcement on set that we're recording.
All right, we're about to do a thing, and then we should be good. Everyone happy? Can
Right on the set? Is that what
someone?
you're saying?
Yeah, can we close that door so I can get some of the ambience out? Ambience.
You mean the leaf blower?
Yeah,
Stop
that.
the leaf blowing.
You know, why put a studio in a sound isolated area when you can put in extra train tracks and leaf blowers? Ready?
Yeah.
Great. This is your Tuesday Space Pod. We're joined by Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut, here to talk about a rocket I thought was gone, the Delta II. Tim, what's up?
Well, yeah, it's kind of, well, it's sort of still some sad-ish news. If you're a fan of the Delta rocket, we're coming up on the penultimate launch. There's only one more after this one of United Launch Alliance's most turquoise rocket, the Delta II. Now, this thing, I'm a pretty big fan of this little thing. I mean, it's a smaller rocket than some of ULA's other rockets, and on Friday, November 10th at 9:47 UTC or 1:47 a.m. Pacific local, United Launch Alliance will be launching the first of a pair of polar orbiting weather satellites for the NOAA. Now, this launch has been delayed a number of times already. It was supposed to launch March 16th of this year. And then again, it was supposed to launch September 21st. But nevertheless, we're hoping that it launches now here November 10th. So I like to think of this as a plucky little rocket. In my opinion, it's the most Kerbal of all rockets because look at all of those solid rocket boosters they can sling on that thing. They throw 9 SRBs on this thing sometimes. And that's actually no exception for this particular launch because that's what this launch will be doing. We'll be having 9 of those SRBs, and it just looks so Kerbal. I love it. I just am very fond of this. And these solid rocket boosters caused a kind of famous explosion in 1997, which is some of the biggest fireworks we've ever seen. I think this is just crazy.
It's beautiful in its destructive power, just raining
Yes.
fire down on the Cape.
Yes, like melting cars and crazy. Now, this happened in 1997. Yeah, so fingers crossed that nothing like this will happen again. But the Delta's been in service since 1989. It's seen 153 launches in total and 151 successes. So it's a very reliable rocket. And again, it's not very big. It's only about 39 meters or 125 foot tall, 2.4 meters wide, which is about 8 feet. And despite its small size, one of my favorite things, one of the reasons I love the Delta II, is it's flown almost everything to Mars, which is crazy because you think of Mars as needing a big, crazy, heavy rocket, but most of the things that we've actually sent to Mars are relatively light, besides Curiosity, and yeah, despite that, the Delta has been what's flung most of the things towards Mars, which is really cool. So there will be one more launch with Delta II. And that will be the ICESat 2 next year, which will be launched on a 7300 series Delta II rocket. And if these 2 rockets are fine, this will be 100 consecutive successful launches in a row of the Delta II. So soak it up while you can. You know, this is kind of the end of an era for United Launch Alliance and for the Delta II.
Yep. Thank you so much. I love the analogy with Kerbal, or at least the parallels with Kerbal. That is, I had never looked at it that way. That is kind of hilarious. Also, that video, if you want to look it up, the Delta II pad anomaly, the public affairs officer of, we've had an anomaly, always gets me every time. I'm like, yeah, you have. It's apparent.
That's the
All right, thank you so much.
Our rocket turned into fireworks.
Yes, it did. Thank you so much, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. If you like this and other space news, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And when you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe and little icon, doorbell icon to make sure that you get updates as to when we go live each week. If you'd like to see our last week's show with the Brooke Owens Fellows, click right over here, and we'll see you next week. I really need to work on those outros. All right, that's a good one. Jared, you're up.
Let's do it.
All right, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. I'm going to roll you off set. Tim, did you want to hang out, or are you? Did you?
I'll hang out for a bit.
All right, cool. Yeah, we're rolling in. Woohoo! Like this. Get a hard angle. Let's kind of face each other.
All right.
No, harder angle.
Oh, okay.
Like face, like, yeah, tip it. There you go.
Like that.
Yeah.
Listen, Ben, let me tell you something.
Huh? Oh, Carrie Ann, you cannot be there. Although you can, it's kind of someone. She's outside the station.
You have to be grasping for air.
I can't breathe.
You want me to sit there?
No, wait. Well, yeah, maybe.
Is it, Matt?
You can get your angle.
All of the cameras.
Do we need 3?
Yeah, not really. All right, cool.
Good chat.
Good talk, Matt. Good talk. So.
Thanks, leaf blowers. Can you guys hear that in the chat room, like at all, or is it just here in studio? Because we have
I can hear it really well.
We have a pretty nasty
It's coming in my ear.
It is just starting right now.
Yeah, you're just able to start getting it. Yeah. All right. We should.
Well, that kind of makes sense because leaf blowers blow up a lot of dust, and this is a story about dust.
Yeah.
So.
All right. All right. Were you ready, Dada?
All right. So.
Yes.
All right. This is your Thursday Space Pod. I am joined by our astronomer, Jared Head. Jared, what are you talking to us about today?
Well, I'm going to be
talking.
Bring the heat. Put the back to
Pack the heat. Burn. Take it.
Are you ready, Ben?
Thanks, Dada.
Can somebody, can you give me a focus target, please, for 2?
Did I hit it?
Down. Thank you.
You good?
Yep.
Oh, I was just watching Star Trek. I could have done that. Dang it.
But you didn't.
But I didn't. This is your Thursday Space Pod. I'm joined by our astronomer, Jared Head. Jared, what you got for us today?
Sorry.
Oh, for pug's sake.
Oh, that was me.
I like Marty and Martian. Ben, ask a question, then shut up.
I didn't realize you were going to come in so fast with it like that. That
Well, I don't.
cracking
Okay,
me.
I
That
mean,
made me laugh quite a bit. So.
all right. I'll give you more of a something.
Sure.
All right. Here we
So
go.
should I look at you or should I just be looking at the camera? Because it kind of
Look at me and then look
Okay.
at the camera.
Okay, sure. All right.
Noob.
Where?
Let's go. What? Huh?
That one, right?
I'll just do it this way.
All right, sounds great.
This is your Thursday Space Pod. That actually hurt. I'm not that flexible. All right. Action. Here we go. This is your Thursday Space.
Unique New York.
How now, brown cow? Ha ha!
All right. Little Anchorman. Yeah. Should I go while you're laughing?
Yeah, probably, because then he's going to snap out of it.
Well, this is covered by a graphic anyhow. This is your Thursday Space Pod. I'm joined by our astronomer, Jared Head. You're going to be talking about exoplanets.
Yes, I am.
They're really big.
Yes, and they're big in unexpected ways because we have found a planet that doesn't quite fit what we expect with what we currently follow, which is called Nebular Theory.
This doesn't work.
This is a
So hold that.
Sure. All right. So
I can't take you anywhere.
Oh, yeah, that looks
get out of my shot, Ben.
Well, this shot. This
Stop.
is like we're dog.
There.
Ben, scoot towards Jared and back towards the
Yeah.
planet. A little bit now, a little bit back, straight back, straight back, right there.
Okay.
Do you want me to zoom in this?
No, I think we're good. This is super awkward in person. Does it look good on camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's basically, well,
I mean, your head isn't as big as your ego is usually, but it's fine.
Yeah, I look big now. There's like actual forced perspective happening here. Nice to meet you, Ben. It is very nice to meet you.
I feel like if I shrink a little. Welcome to After Dark, by the way.
Can we get a phone book for Ben to sit on?
yeah, we've got the thing you made me to stand
Some
my
apple
God.
boxes. Can we get like 4 or 5 apple boxes for Ben, please?
Could you boys please hurry this
Can we
up?
get a
all
Stoge
right.
number of
All right,
apple
here we go.
boxes, please?
Here we go. This is you ready now?
Yeah, I was just smiling.
This is your Space Pod for Thursday. I am joined by our astronomer, Jared Head, here to talk to us about some exoplanets.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some really cool things that we found with one specific exoplanet going around a star. So formation of systems around stars is what we call nebular theory. And this basically says that after all the gas and dust has collapsed in and started nuclear fusion, which is when a star officially becomes a star, it says that after that, any remaining gas and dust around the star should form like asteroids and comets and maybe planets, and that should be proportional in size to the star itself. Well, we took a look at a star with a special telescope used by the European Southern Observatory, and it was conducted by the University of Warwick, and they have challenged this finding by finding a hot Jupiter-type exoplanet around an M-class red dwarf star. Now, the system is known as NGTS-1, named after the telescope that the European Southern Observatory actually takes a look at it with. It's about 600 light years away, and the planet NGTS-1b is about 80% the mass of Jupiter, and it orbits its star once every 2.6 days. Now, that current nebular theory says that red stars are significantly more likely to make rocky planets, but here is a hot Jupiter orbiting one. Now, what is so cool about this study, besides the fact that it's sort of flying in the face of nebular theory, is that this was the first time we actually found an exoplanet around a red dwarf star via the transit method with the NGTS telescope that we have a really awesome photo of right here. Now, the transit method is when the planet blocks the light from a star. You see a dip in the light. We see the curve actually go down and then come back up. Previous discoveries of exoplanets around red dwarfs like TRAPPIST-1 were actually done by what we call radial velocity. That means we literally looked at the star wiggling back and forth from the gravitational pull of the exoplanets orbiting around it. This is also really exciting because red dwarf stars, they make up 75% of the stellar population in the Milky Way and likely the universe itself as well. So this tells us that the most numerous population of stars in our own galaxy can actually have a multitude of planetary flavors around it. And this is really important because if we're going to really actually start looking at exoplanets, resolving them, actually being able to get their light instead of the overwhelming light of the star around them, It's very important for us to understand the type of planets that we should expect around there, and also look at our modeling of nebular theory and see if we can actually do some type of a model that can explain this. And that is what is so cool about finding things that are outside of our predicted models, is that we can then go in and actually modify our models, and then when we modify our models, we get an even better understanding of what's actually happening around that star. So it's really cool stuff happening with exoplanets, with that tiny little telescope the European Southern Observatory is using. So.
Man, and exoplanets aren't even that old from a discovery standpoint, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, theorized since antiquity, if you will, but discovered really in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, depends on which organization you ask. So.
All right, thank you so much, Jared. If you like that news, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Make sure to hit subscribe and the little notification icon on YouTube so that you get notifications of our live shows that happen every Saturday at 1800 Coordinated Universal Time. This last week, we talked with the Brooke Owens Fellows. It was really great. Click over here to watch that video. That was a better closing.
Okay.
Still wasn't great, but hey, it worked.
There we go.
All right,
So
now we can bring everyone back out on set.
all right, I'll get out of the way.
Mouth with planetary flavors.
What did I do?
He said planetary flavors, and you were like,
Oh, planets are delicious. All right.
Only geology would I
let's
recommend
see
looking
here.
at science.
Something
That's about
back
it.
and over. Yeah,
So.
something like that.
What's up?
Oh, yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah. Couch isn't a bad idea. Couch, loungy couch. I like
Move
that.
the couch.
Move the couch.
well, we're probably going to need the chairs too anyway.
Yeah, we are, but we need the chairs out of the way. We need the chairs out of the way so we can get the couch.
It's really heavy, guys. Be careful. Like, lift with your
No dying.
Yeah.
That's rule number 1 is no dying. That is in
Yes,
fact
it's really
on the
heavy.
website.
Don't look at me like that.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle in the back. That's perfect. Do my bidding.
I know.
Let's see here, a little further. Yeah, let's move it back this way and angle it. Yeah.
Oh, look at this. This is going to be a new thing.
All right, can we? Would you grab that blue chair for me? Thank you. Wait, a little. It's a little bit loud. Yeah, it works. All right.
Oh, so you know, I was going to put the blue chairs behind the couch because the couch is so flippin' low.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I know, because I had it.
All right, back to where it was.
So sorry.
Oh, wow, it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's quite heavy.
Well, you want to know why it's heavy? Hang on, let me show you a magic trick.
Just one hand.
It's watch this magic trick. It goes. Yep, there we go.
Is he doing it? He's trying.
Oh.
Boom! It's a bed.
And that makes it heavy?
Booyashaka.
Yeah, it's all the support infrastructure. All right. Okay.
All right, who wants a couch? Who wants a
I want a
chair?
couch.
I want the couch.
All right. Can we get? Watch this. Watch this magic trick. I bet we have even
Whoa.
enough room.
Whoa, the camera. Hey!
Bring back the.
Where's Jared?
Yeah, Jared, you get a seat.
What?
Jared,
No,
you sit
okay,
there.
I'll sit back there.
Oh, we got Carrie Ann.
It's not a requirement.
Oops.
It's because we're tall. So.
That camera is amazing right now.
It doesn't help.
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
The camera's a little sad.
It's a bit Tycom,
No,
if you
it's
know what I mean.
perfect. Don't know what happened there.
Did I overcompensate? Yes. All right, that's
No,
fine. We
is
don't
that
need
really
it.
a question?
We don't need it.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Biggest
After dark.
after dark ever.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Right?
So what are we
doing? Are we?
Well, we don't know.
know.
At this point, we literally don't know.
Advent.
That's this part of the show where.
This is where we go over
this is
like
just
your
filmed
secret
madness.
talents. So if any of you sing or dance,
And then we expect a show as well.
I was gonna go along. I'm like, okay, that's the best part. You're like, yeah, okay, cool. Solo mio.
I will now burp the alphabet backward.
Yes.
So.
Okay, go.
I'm not putting Ben anywhere. Nobody puts Ben in the corner.
Carrie Ann, can you scoot half a cheek
baby in
to
the corner.
your
Go ahead.
Hey,
left?
Are we
I'm
good?
gonna see Dirty
Will.
Dancing tonight.
Will
Speaking, nobody
Pomerantz,
puts
can you
me-
He can't hear you.
can you have Will scoot in between
Come
Jocelyn
this way
and
between
Becca?
these two. See?
And
got the window.
Jared between Deanna and
Oh, what?
Jocelyn,
Sorry,
and
don't go
somebody
there.
pull Tim over a little bit.
Here,
Somebody
come here,
pull Tim
Tim.
over a little
Let me
bit.
get you.
There you go.
There we are.
Wow.
So that better? Do you need me to move more?
Biggest
No,
after dark
we're good.
ever.
Everyone,
All right.
look at this. Just
So,
I'm
smile.
gonna go landscape mode.
Yeah, there you go.
So things for everyone to remember, which is
Pretend like you're happy for a second and smile for the camera.
I hate you so much.
Another thing to remember,
That's it.
at least 4 of us can't hear Tim Dodd every
That's
day.
exactly
is
what I was
true.
just going to say. Is you can't hear Tim Dodd and you can't hear Dutta either. So anything that Tim Dodd said, Tim Dodd, the
Actually,
Everyday
wait,
Astronaut.
no,
Can we just grab the?
Yeah, those.
But
Yeah,
we're gonna
do
be
we
like
have-
sharing.
That's true.
yeah, but
We can get down to still only 2 people. who
Us
don't have it.
3 could get it, but
And then I'll be the only one left out,
no,
and that might be really funny.
If we plug his earpiece into like mine, so then he and I can share.
Just
and then-
repeat it.
He doesn't say
type it
anything
really
interesting.
fast, and
It's
I'll
just
look on
Tim
your
Dodd,
screen.
the Everyday Astronaut. What's he going to talk about? His channel
Are we
again?
live
Do we have
right
enough
now?
earbuds?
We are
Yeah,
live.
but
Oh, okay.
but only to like the
Just a-
super fans.
Oh, okay.
No, we would need to
Super
split
fans.
the
My parents
earbuds.
are
There's
not.
one
They're
set.
Unless they have like, this is basically people who have paid a certain level or still
Well,
watching live,
So
or-
typically, if you watch live, you
Here's
can continue to watch live after dark. Is totally
There's
fine.
that.
It
But
doesn't get recorded.
this does get recorded. But those are for the real super fans
There we
who
go.
don't have time to watch us
you.
live.
Thank you.
And
If
you pay.
that makes sense. Yes.
You can watch
good
it
with
live
time
for
now,
free.
Live for free.
After the fact, paid.
Yes.
Yes.
Those are all of the
Take
words I'm
normal
trying to
picture.
use.
This is
And the
two.
price is
way to work
going up,
This is two.
scaled with the number of
Well,
people
but she
who
can
are
just
here.
take it to herself, and then I can use one of these.
Yep.
ooh,
Yeah, but we need one more.
One more headset.
I
There we
got
go.
the headset.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you got a headset.
There you go. Great. Got him.
Victory.
Great. So
Victory.
now-
Yeah.
Am I sharing
This
this
is
with
all
someone?
No, you're
No.
good.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah,
can
no,
hear
you're
now.
good there.
Oh,
They're
wait, no,
sharing.
wait, Tim Dodd, what were you doing? I will write. Hold.
I will write all my answers down.
And you
That
can hear,
is
but
how
you
you call
can't
answers.
answer.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, as long as they're in the form of a question, I will accept them.
All right, now everyone can hear everyone.
Hooray!
I
All
don't know.
right, so-
Tim Dodd, say something.
Hey, I'm here still.
Perfect.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Only in spirit.
there we go.
So this is a non-structured part of the show. It's not actually a show at all.
In
It's
case you
basically-
couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's basically maybe we'll talk about space, maybe we won't. Maybe we talk about Disney a lot because we're
Hey,
huge
I didn't
Disney
bring up
Plus fans.
Disney again in the end, and I was going
Same.
to because Disney had a great quote about sometimes it's fun to do the impossible.
Yeah.
But I figured I had already said too many Disney things, so I let that one go. Just so you know.
Yeah, so there you go. There were a few. Hold on, my chat room got all borked because my iPad went to sleep.
As did mine.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I'm not in the.
There were some questions we didn't have time to get to. I thought it'd be kind of fun
Oh
to.
yeah, we can
Yeah, I'm a
definitely-
citizen right now.
I'm not. I'm in as a host
Perfect.
now. All right.
Perfect. So then you go.
I will. Give me a moment.
One of these things is not,
Not like the others. One of these things.
One of these.
And Ben is wrong.
Yes.
I like that version.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that
It doesn't
one.
make much sense in the second verse, but the last 3 words are probably some of the most accurate things that have ever been uttered.
All right. Jim Burr in the chat room said, "Can I just say thank you to the amazing girls that my 13-year-old daughter just inspired to become an engineer."
That's amazing.
And then
That's amazing.
I don't know if that was intended or not, but the very end it says "thank you" instead of "thank you." But either way, message received.
All right, so we'll go back earlier in the show. This is less of a question, more of a statement from Space Vogel, who said, wow, they even consider international applicants, even though ITAR, et cetera, ITAR-E, or all of the international restrictions here in the United States, may lower their chances. How big of an issue is ITAR-E?
Well, sure, go for it, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, ITAR's pretty big. I think that it definitely can limit what foreign nationals are able to see. Even if they can get into the company, there has to be restrictions on what information they can receive. So I think with the possibility of partnering with international companies that have locations outside of the U.S. is probably the best course of action for international students. Just have a lot less ITAR restrictions to deal with there.
Yeah, and if you go online now to our website at brookeowensfellowship.org, you can look up our application site. So go to that website /org, or just use the internet, click to it, and you'll find in there we've got a table listing all of our host companies with whether they're looking for engineers or business majors or policy majors or something else. And then one of the columns is whether that specific opening is for U.S. persons only or not. There's not too many that aren't restricted, but there are a few, and that was really important to us to be able to offer that.
Did anyone want to take a crack at a really quick synopsis of what ITAR is and why it matters here? Because not all of our viewers are from the United States or even in aerospace and may have no idea what ITAR or EAR is.
I can take a stab unless someone else wants to.
Yeah.
So these are both a series of regulations that are meant to prevent sensitive technologies, basically defense-relevant technologies, from leaving the United States and going off somewhere where they could be used by our enemies to harm them. So sort of notionally, this is rules that's meant to prevent you from ever putting out a picture or a video, inviting someone in for a factory tour, such that if they happen to be the North Korean equivalent of James Bond, they could reverse engineer your rocket or your satellite or your missile or whatever else and improve the technology from somewhere we don't want it to have. These are rules that are obviously very well intentioned and important. They're also pretty old rules that don't always get applied in the most commonsensical way necessarily.
Don't account for the internet.
Don't account for the internet. They're sort of one of the rare parts of the U.S. regulatory system where you're kind of guilty until proven innocent. So you really have to go and show why it is not a threat to expose this person to this type of technology.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that makes it really hard for people who don't have the right passport to come and work in this country or in this industry even.
They are working on modifying it, just very slowly.
Better.
Tim Dodd, you have a question.
Yeah, I wanted to raise my hand because most of them can't hear me. I always think it's so weird that like you can't take pictures of rocket engines and stuff in factories and all these different things for ITAR. Yet you can go to a museum. I did this with you, Ben, one time. I was at LA and I'm standing looking at an RS-25 engine, and there's no big like. No one stops you from going there and looking at every minute detail. Yet you can't even get like a fuzzy picture of a.
But you're not looking at. See, here's the difference. You're not looking at every minute detail. All of the things that you're not supposed to see are no longer on that.
That's right.
They have been removed.
That RS-25 has been curated specifically for your consumption.
Yes, it has. Yep. So there were when I went with Micah.
Tim's like, damn it, that's why it doesn't work.
I was gonna say with Micah.
Shouldn't have sold those pictures.
When I was up at the Eclipse, Micah, who's watching, we went to the Evergreen Aviation Museum up there, and they had a Titan II in the launch configuration, and there were a lot of things missing from that engine while it was on display.
There was probably no turbo pump to start.
Nope, sure wasn't.
Missing kind of the important pieces.
Yeah, that's right.
Neuropilot from the chat room asks, some astronauts and other aerospace executives comes from non-traditional backgrounds. How do you target people who fall through the cracks? This is open for anyone who wants to answer, by the way. There's no format here.
For example, we have a journalist in our fellowship, and she not necessarily into just aerospace and engineering and technical knowledge, but she is targeting that in a non-traditional way. So we have some. I think you targeted this into the interview. How we mentioned we have opportunities for other different majors that are not necessarily into aerospace and aviation.
Yeah, and I think that so the non-traditional background also goes to the fellows that we have come from all parts of the U.S. and some, like Deanna and some other fellows are not originally from the U.S. or come from families that immigrated here. And I think that a really important part of the program is celebrating those differences and realizing that we're not all coming from the same place and kind of celebrating that and making sure that everyone's included and everyone gets a chance to be included. So.
Yeah, and I think even just beyond diversity of that, diversity of majors, or switching out of your major and doing something kind of less related, I think is something that the fellowship really caters to, which is awesome.
And not to kiss up too much to our hosts here, but things like coming
No, you're totally allowed.
Coming into programs like this.
More about me, thank you.
With wonderful and amazing hosts like Carrie Ann and really, really important actually to us. We try and make sure that we're covered in the more traditional aerospace media because that is what a lot of students are doing. But if you are relatively, if you're new to the country, if you don't go to a university that has traditionally a strong aerospace presence, you may not know that Aviation Week is a magazine. Like you may not subscribe to Space News, and maybe you did find Tomorrow, or maybe you found Emily Calandrelli on Twitter or something like that. So trying to make sure that we are using all those channels to reach women all over the country and indeed all over the world is really important to us. And then again, going back to some of the things that my colleagues here described so well during the earlier interview, making sure that we aren't just looking for a 4.0 from MIT and that's it. That's what you need to get in. We want to make sure that we are open for different kinds of schools and that we care about a lot more than your GPA. Sure. One of the things that I found really interesting is someone mentioned earlier that we asked each of the candidates to rank what was most important to them about the internship experience. We also asked all the host companies to rank what was most important to them about a candidate pretty early on in the process. And they could say GPA, they could say past work experience, they could say sort of their specific technical skills, and there were leadership experience, communications, lots of other things there. And interestingly enough, GPA, every host either ranked it as the very most important thing or the very least important thing. There was no one who ranked it anywhere in the middle. And almost all of our hosts ranked it as the least important thing.
That's interesting.
Because I think they realized, particularly for our hands-on engineers, which again is not all of our jobs, it was a lot of them, they cared a huge amount more about what these fellows did, in their rocket club at school, or with their first robotics chapter, or with the startup that they did on the side and the business experience there, because they found that is actually, grades are important. Don't slack off in school, but they found that those real world practical experiences were translating better into the employees that were the superstars there at the company.
Was that surprising to you to find that?
I was a little surprised that literally no one ranked it anything except for first and last.
Sure.
I was pretty heartened. Like, my company ranked it last.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right thing to do. I never look at GPA. I review resumes all the time, and I literally never look at anyone's GPA. If you're a few standard deviations off the mean in either direction, maybe I'll look. But other than that, I care a whole lot more about what's in the other sections of the CV.
See, that's really interesting because you get a lot of applications, especially for some of the top-notch aerospace companies that say we only want people with a 3.5.
Right.
So it's interesting that the companies that are coming to the Brooke Owens Fellowship ranked it as the least because it's causing a lot of stress with a lot of my classmates that their application isn't going to be even looked at if they don't have a certain GPA. So I don't know, that seems like...
I think it may depend on the person, though, right? Because while a overarching company may say, hey, we don't care about GPA, a specific individual hiring for a specific position inside of... Ultimately, they're the ones that are going to hire, so you may end up with this wide, vast... In one company, like, half the company doesn't care, half the company does care, and even inside the same department, right? I mean, I think it really depends on the people.
I was going to say, my joke is often that Elon Musk says he doesn't care if you have a college degree or not, but his hiring people sure do care.
That's very true.
That's funny. Tim Dodd, did you have any specific questions for the fellows while we've got them all, while we have all of you all together?
All y'all.
All y'all.
Well, yeah, it's a great one that I saw in the chat room here. People were wanting all the fellows to answer what they think the Falcon Heavy payload is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think it's some sort of super secret biological experiment that the government's trying to get rid of. They're just sending it away. They're just, we don't want it on Earth anymore.
That's definitely our target.
The aliens that landed in Area 51, something like that.
Yeah. I love that idea.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, I would guess experimental technology, something that's not too, something we're not too cautious with, for sure.
I would think
Like an EM?
some sort of a satellite.
A satellite?
Yeah. It's very common to take satellites into orbit, so maybe it would be some kind of satellite that has some new technologies in it.
All right, so we have satellite, biological conspiracy.
Zika, Ebola, it's all gone now. Don't worry about it.
I'm sorry, I already forgot. I'm sorry. What was the? It was
Experimental technology.
experimental is something that we don't know if it's going to work, right?
Yeah.
Tim Dodd, did we get your answer?
Well, I said Teslas. Stick a bunch of
Teslas, that's
Teslas
right.
up in there.
Jared?
But also, I like with the experimental thing. I think EM drive. Just throw one of those stupid things in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jared Head?
So I said as a joke, 50-ton wheel of cheese.
50-ton, that's
but
right.
As in seriousness, I feel like there will be a couple of prototypes for SpaceX internet satellites on that. So.
Will?
In his talks at the last two IACs, when Elon has presented this vision, there have been a few areas that he, I think by his mission, kind of glosses over. He says, radiation in space is a challenge, and we'll address that. So I would hope that there are some experiments related to some of those important fields.
Blah, 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 humans, yep, okay. So that kind of goes back to experiment.
Yeah.
Right, yep, okay.
But specifically, humans living in space for longer periods of time, related experiments.
Sure. And then we will bow out of that. All right.
Wait. Can I say hope? Can I put in my 2 cents on what I hope it's not?
Sure. Actually, technically, you don't know what it is, right?
No.
I mean, so I think you could probably just guess too.
I'm hoping it's also not a 50-ton wheel of cheese.
Yeah.
The original wheel of cheese. Maybe this is something people don't really think about a whole lot, but dairy in and of itself outgasses. So trying to contain this wheel of cheese that then was on a rocket and sat in the sun for ever, and then eventually went to space, I'm sure in like perfect conditions, and came back and then is trying to be preserved in lucite. That doesn't work. It will outgas, and it will break said lucite, and it will smell a lot, and you may have to put it behind an elevator of sorts. Not a great way to retain a space artifact, if you will. I hope it's not a gigantic wheel of cheese.
You're no fun.
I am. You're right. I am no fun.
But
If you
I would say,
needed to
though,
stand next to that stinking wheel of cheese,
if we could control,
you also would be no fun. I promise you.
if we could control the outgassing of the 50-ton wheel of cheese, it might be just enough delta V to have it re-enter.
Oh my God!
Just keep it up there for a while
Just
until
saying.
re-entry.
We're to throw that out
Can
there.
you imagine the news stories on that? Like the headlines on that?
Elon Musk drops wheel of cheese re-Atlantic.
It'd be nice and toasty as we
Yeah.
saw with the
It
last
would
one.
be. It would be.
Get a nice big knife and cut out a chunk.
Just-
Everybody's
just in
eating our
time for it.
accomplishments.
Re-entry is coming. I smell it.
Oh man. Sir, I'll go for a gigantic latte that I have to make. I'm totally down with that. Totally okay with that. That's kind of funny. But again, dairy outgasses, so you have to prepare for those sorts of things. It's not just tribal electrification, man. You gotta
You just like the word tribo-electrification.
Obviously.
I mean, tribal electrification is a cool thing to do. I could you could walk into a party and be like tribal electrification. And
can I
would
be that for Halloween
and
next
people would not be like, who's that? People would be like, why are you here?
Stop it.
Shut up.
Another question from the chat room. This comes from Kay McCoy, which he asks, what kind of projects did people do for the creative part of the application?
Ooh.
There was a wide variety.
Yeah.
There were paintings, poems.
Yeah, I wrote a poem for mine.
I know I
This
just
is
did
where
a
you
video
recite the-
entry.
Yeah, here, let me just pull up my phone real quick. I'm sure I have it somewhere, but no.
I don't know. What did you do?
Mine was not creative at all. I completely did not get the memo that it's supposed to be creative because I did it the night after my final. It was during my finals week.
Oh,
so
no.
I don't know why they accepted me. I have no idea. But I do have a creative side. It just did not show in the application.
Right.
But there is somebody who did like a skit. They were acting and they video themselves. And it just, when you meet them after a few months, you meet them and you're like, oh my God, that video was so you. It was like, it was representative of their personality.
Yeah. I do have to say though, if you're intimidated by the creative project, not everyone did like a super, like a poem or like a song or anything like that. There are also people who submitted videos of just showing them around the lab that they work at, or there was someone I think who was on a canoe and just talking about something that they were passionate about. So even if you're not the most creative person in the world, don't be intimidated. Just anything that shows a side of you that you're not going to see on the application is really what they're looking for.
Someone did like a comic, right?
Yeah, someone did a comic.
And there's
really
some very talented artists.
Yeah.
Fellow group.
One nice aspect of this was it meant that we got fellows who aren't just single-minded in space. So we have fellows with minor in classics, or we have a fellow with a minor in dance, or double major in dance. Actually.
Yeah.
Not even a minor.
And I had a conversation with Pam Nalroy about dancing in space, which
Nice.
was
Yeah.
one of the coolest conversations. Because just think of this: theater in the round, but theater in the sphere.
Yeah.
3-dimensional.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
It just just thinking about
Yeah, I
Anyway.
think she's doing her senior project on that, actually.
I think I believe so. So
Man, I just started thinking about that, like the technical challenges of trying to do.
Stagehands throwing you on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, theater in the round is hard enough. Now
Right.
imagine like adding the
exactly.
Z. Yeah.
Yeah. Where
Like
do
the
you?
Z-axis.
Where's off stage? Is there an off stage? Is it just everywhere? It's really
It
right.
is. It is. Mine's
cool.
And without that multidisciplinary aspect of these fellows, you wouldn't have conversations like that. It would be, it'd be engineering, science, which is fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I love that stuff, but you also get really cool, fun, and interesting conversations that go deeper than you might have otherwise. So
We'll be like, so, electrons.
So I said
Some
somebody should
wild
bake
things.
cookies.
There we go.
So
Yeah.
the fellowship doesn't have its own building, is that correct?
Doesn't have its own billing.
Building.
No, we don't have a physical space. Maybe that'll be phase 2 of the program.
Right, and then eventually you can have like a museum of.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Station 2, 0, 3 is available.
Wow. There you go.
Wax figures of us.
Yeah.
That'll be so cool. Celebrities.
We were lucky enough. So as mentioned earlier, we brought all of our fellows together over the summer for a summit, and we're able to give them some really private time with fantastic people like Pam Melroy and members of U.S. Congress and lots of other really astounding people. It was the people we were able to get together were really incredible, and for that we were able to do that. Lockheed Martin really generously supported us and gave us some free space there in Northern Virginia for us to use. Also, going back to the last question here, the creativity does not stop with just the application. I think much to their surprise, we actually required all of them to do spoken word performance at the summit in front of not only each other, but several of their bosses and potential future employers. And we did some too, so we didn't make them do anything we wouldn't do ourselves. But that was actually one of the more powerful moments of the program for me.
Also to the application, there's a lot of traditional things like you need recommendation letters, and you need to have you need to have an essay, and you need to have your resume. So there's a lot of traditional things.
Oh yeah.
It's not like just write this creative piece, but there's also more stuff to it.
Yeah, I think the fact that I did slam poetry in front of an astronaut is like something to
I
check
know.
off the bucket list.
Yeah, and it's recorded, and it's for the people who sent it in to we made actually a poetry book of it all, so that way years down the line we can look back and be like what we ourselves wrote, but also what everyone else wrote. When we're all astronauts, when we all have gone to space, it's going to be get signed copies. It's going to be worth a lot of money. So
I love it.
It's really cool that that's the mentality. When I grew up, it wasn't, hey, when we're all astronauts and when we go to space. That wasn't a thing. That wasn't, you couldn't even enter. It just bounced right off the head because obviously you're not going to be an astronaut. You're not one of the select few. It's really cool that we live in a time where that's just. Obviously, we're going to space.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time, not, right?
A lot of girls in the fellowship or women in the fellowship actually extremely determined to go to space.
Yeah.
One of them has been learning Russian for 4 years. She already started from when she was in high school, and that's serious stock. It's you know exactly the path and you know where you're heading, which is extremely inspiring. Makes me feel like, what the hell am I doing? I am not Russian.
Gotta get on it.
Yeah, no. A few girls are pilots, or some are in Air Force ROTC, so they're already on that track to learn how to pilot and maybe eventually become an astronaut. So we definitely have a lot of women who are super dead set on it, which is really cool. I genuinely think, as much as I joke when we're all astronauts, I definitely think at least one of the 36 is going to go to space. I think, at least one.
Yeah, I don't see why not, honestly.
Or all.
Yeah.
Or
right?
all.
I mean, we're getting to a point where space is getting opened up to the mere mortals, right?
Yeah.
We'll take you to space.
Going backwards one step, Space Geek asks, what is the best thing to stick on an application?
Ooh.
I think you should really show yourself and show the passion. If you're like about space, then you might not be the perfect candidate. But if you're extremely in love, you sleep and breathe and eat space, then that would show. You can't fake real passion and love for a certain thing.
Yeah, no, I think definitely just be genuine. If you're thinking I don't know if I should put this on because they're gonna think I'm weird or they're gonna think I'm too intense. No, that's what they're looking for. I mean, they're looking for the passion. They're looking for interests that might not be traditional engineering interests. So I think that the best thing is just put what you're passionate about, space, but also other things. And I know it's cheesy, but be yourself, I think, is the best way to go.
Yeah, I think definitely don't try and put together the perfect application. Don't try and give them what you think they're looking for. Just really be true to yourself and genuine in what you present.
Yeah, I mean, I think being involved in space, if there's space clubs at your school, I feel like that's helpful. Rocket clubs or SEDS definitely goes a way in showing your interest in space. But I think that there's definitely other ways to do it as well.
So Will, I have to ask because Jocelyn Jocelyn.
Yes.
Okay, Joycelyn. So I apologize.
It's okay.
Like
it's
popped
okay.
in there somehow magically. Brought up SEDS specifically.
Yeah.
Not that there aren't other space things to get involved in, but you were also involved in SEDS.
Yeah, still are.
NM, yep.
Yes.
That's, yep.
And so I guess, because I don't know how to word this correctly. This is going to sound very ageist, I suppose. We're of a slightly older generation where some of that stuff was just barely coming online, and kind of like Ben was saying, our generation, we didn't necessarily think like, well, of course we're going to go into space, like, of course, all that sort of thing. What are your reactions when you are hearing these ladies speak in that manner? I mean, because I love it, right? I'm like, I am eating this up, and I love the idea that, that's just a matter-of-fact thing in your perspective. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, certainly, obviously, my first reaction is pride in these fantastic young women and the other 33. The other part is I am super jealous of them. Like, I'm not joking earlier when you were kind of saying this thing. I really wish I could apply for this program at home grade, and I'm lacking in a couple of the major requirements for being
right, I kind of feel like
woman,
looking at the application, I'm like, I wouldn't pass this, man.
Yeah. Well, I definitely wouldn't have
no
accepted to the program. Absolutely. No, I think it's fantastic. Because of my long-standing role with SEDS, the Students for the Exploration and Development of Space, the world's largest student space organization. Join if you're not already a member. And now with Brooke Owens Fellowship Program, I do spend a reasonable amount of time going to college campuses, interacting directly with students, and I am in general wildly jealous of them, both because I think things like them personally going to space or them building hardware and sending that to space are almost a given. Certainly on the building stuff side, like now almost everyone who wants to do it has some opportunity to do so. But also they have so much more of a diversity of choice. It used to be, when I graduated school, if you wanted to work in space, you sort of had like the U.S. government human spaceflight program or the U.S. government uncrewed space program, and military or civil, and those were your choices.
Yeah.
And if either of those wasn't your thing, or if you don't like big 10,000 person organizations, you like 10 person organizations or 1 person organizations, too bad. Nowadays, even just among the three gals here in the studio with us, we have sort of large FFRDC. We have startup that's a couple years in, which is at 350 people. We've got startup that's also a couple years in that's at 60 or 70 people. We had some of our fellows at companies that had only 10 people or so. I think one, maybe even 5. Shreya over at Altius, they're at 5 or 10 people or something like that. And I think each one of them who succeeded so well at that company might not have enjoyed themselves at all at a bigger company or at a smaller company. And it used to be that you got that one shot, and if it didn't match your sort of personality and constitution, then you're out, or you take yourself out. And now they really get all these choices here, which I think is awesome, and I'm way jealous.
So another thing that you have lived through, if you will, International Space University.
Yeah.
Which I know you enjoyed. It's a joke to say that you lived through that.
Yeah.
How do you compare this sort of experience to even like a shorter ISU experience?
We did certainly try to shamelessly borrow some of the things that I liked most.
Hey, good ideas are good ideas, man.
Exactly. Exactly. Some of the things I enjoyed most about the International Space University experience. I'm also an alum of a program called the NASA Academy, which still exists. There's still a program of the same name, although I think it's still awesome, but it's changed a lot from what it was when I was a fellow. One of the things that I really liked about both of those programs was they were really good about not only bringing in really high-powered, senior leaders, executives, NASA administrators, astronauts, principal investigators on experiments in space, not only bringing them in to give a formal presentation, but then sort of having them stay for their equivalent of this section of the television show, where they would loosen their tie and they were not giving like formal corporate approved talking points, and this is speech number 7, and I've given this 1,000 times and I could do it with my eyes closed.
For sure.
There's a value to that if you're new and you just haven't been exposed to the program at all, but it's much more valuable to be sitting across the dinner table from someone and say, so tell me, like, for real, what do you actually think of Mars One? Or tell me, if I want your job in 10 years, like, what do I need to do? Who hooked you up for this? Those kind of connections are really, really super important. And certainly also, I think, somewhere where because of historical demographics or whatever else, if there aren't that many women in the industry right now, a lot of our candidates have been lacking for those opportunities to do that, because there isn't someone to sit on the other side of the table who looks like them, who identifies with them, who has a shared common experience, and that is really, really important in situations like that. So we've tried in SEDS, and then even more, fewer in quantity, but correspondingly more in quality with the Brooke Owens Fellowship Program, to just provide more and more and more of those kinds of opportunities for each of our fellows consistently over not just a summer, but actually over a full year.
That brings up another question that came through in the chat room that I wasn't sure how sensitive of a topic it was, so I kind of avoided it. But we're a little bit in After Dark, and if you want to tell me you don't want to answer that question or why, and that's totally fine. The question very specifically was, how many of the mentors are female?
I don't know the exact numbers. It's more than half. But it's actually fairly close to 50-50 here. We thought for a little while about having all female mentors. I'm the only male. There's 3 founders. I'm the only male there. So there have been often situations where there are 39 folks in the room, and I'm the only male. And as a white American male, that's probably a healthy experience for me to be on the receiving end of that every once in a while. We did think particularly about the summit, about only having women speakers there, and also decided, although there's a time and a place for that, and we did have some elements where I left the room, and it was just the 36 of them, sometimes without even Lori and Cassie, and other times they were in there and I was not, because I think there's a value, because there's experiences that you can not even talk about freely in front of me, as willing as I might be to listen. But there's also a great value to having male allies in the room.
Yeah.
And furthermore, we don't want to set up the impression that men are the problem or that women are the problem.
Right.
Like, there are challenges, and we are only going to solve them if we are working together. And there's a value to having this peer-to-peer network among them, but also at times when all of us can lock elbows together and push in one common direction is really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. And to add on that, I feel like having a woman executive kind of help you along is great, but also there's a value to having a guy do it, because if a guy makes a sexist joke, and if I try to say, hey, that's kind of rude, can you not do that? They'll just laugh it off and think I don't have a sense of humor. But if another guy is like, hey, dude, that was too much, I feel like oftentimes are way more willing to listen to that. So I feel like having, like Will said, having those both male and female allies all working together to try to make aerospace more inclusive for women and for everybody. I feel like we don't want to just make it only focus on women. I think men also have a place in making that happen. So.
Totally.
Is the industry getting better? I mean, you get to see SEDS. You have your hands in everything, Will. I mean, you're everywhere. So I feel like you've got this great ability to see where we're at right now and kind of what future generations are coming in. It seems like it's going slower than it should, but is it at least progressing?
Oh yeah, I mean I am as you know from knowing me for a long time, I'm sort of like a ceaseless optimist, and I always look on the sunny side of life. I think the industry is absolutely getting better, which doesn't mean we can rest on our laurels and just count on it to continue on that trend without actively pushing for it. It does take concerted effort and it takes thought. It is encouraging to me that I think an increasing number of companies are realizing that is the case. That demographics don't just correct themselves over time, that new sources of funding don't just magically appear on your doorstep. You have to go out and actively work toward those things. And nicely, I have found, this came up a little bit in the earlier conversation, one thing I have always just enjoyed so heartfully about the aerospace industry is that we are still in a rising tide floats all boats period. And I may not work at SpaceX, but we are watching live and cheering along with every single launch, and same for Blue Origin, and same for Rocket Lab, and same for every other company there. We aren't wishing, our success doesn't come at the expense of their failure there. So that I think allows us to come together in a kind of helpful way where we can bootstrap each other a little bit.
All ships rise with the tide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're about to lose the everyday astronaut. He's apparently on an elevator. Tim, I got your note in the chat. Any final comments before you head out?
No, it was a real pleasure today. I really appreciate it, and hearing from all you guys too. That was really, really cool. So thank you for having me be a part of this. I'll be back, I'm sure, at some point. So thank you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Tim.
thank you, Tim Dow, the Everyday Astronaut. Have a great weekend. Thank you for your time. Bye, hologram.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
He was so good. I really feel like he should have like his own show.
Yeah, he's a good.
His own YouTube channel.
His whole channel of shows.
I feel like, but you know,
I don't know what to call it,
He should
though.
wear like a spacesuit.
That would really cinch the deal.
Yeah,
it really would.
If only there was like a series of photos of him
Yeah.
in the spacesuit doing things that
Kinda
regular people do.
Funny.
Oh yeah, you may not be on,
Uh,
even though we keep hearing you. But I think it's just
Oh no.
Other pack.
Other pack.
Oh no.
I know you're too too
man.
connected.
Well, good. Let's do all that. Let's take it from the top.
Yeah.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay. Have I not been on the entire time?
Yeah, but you speak really loudly. You
All right,
project
okay.
beautifully,
Yes.
which is awesome.
It's highly amusing.
Hi,
everyone.
It's a good thing you were that insulting, man, because whoa, woo!
Yikes.
Didn't get that
On air.
recorded. Lucky you.
All right. Another question from the chat room. I don't think we hit this one yet, which was, this is from Destructor 1701, which is, what was your favorite aspect of the fellowship?
Oh, for me, it was the summit. 100%.
Oh yeah, the summit was.
I had a great experience at Planetary Resources. I loved my team. I loved the people that work there. But just kind of going the first half of the summer, just kind of meeting people over social media and things like that, and seeing like the caliber of women in the program was really intimidating. And then I think meeting everyone was like they surpassed expectations. Everyone was truly amazing, and I think that kind of really helped to build more of the community. That was the goal of the program.
Yeah.
So.
Everyone can take their earbuds out if you want.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Probably uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and
that'll make it a
oral.
little more normal.
We had a little bit of static on our end, so.
Oh, your battery's dying. I'm sorry.
No,
And
those
it
are
gets-
brand
it
new
gets wor-
batteries.
Really?
No, I think it's my headphones. My headphones are really they're not the best.
I
but-
made sure.
Neither are the
We can
packs.
troubleshoot this later.
Yeah,
Okay.
No, we're going to troubleshoot it right now.
Online.
On the air.
That's how we do it.
Everything's stopping until this is fixed.
So my favorite part, so kind of going off of what you said, Becca, my favorite part of the fellowship was just the woman in part of the program in general. The summit was great because you got to meet everybody, but I was lucky enough to have my internship here in the LA area where there was a lot of other space companies, a lot of other women here as well, and we met up for comedy shows, for ice cream, going to the beach, and the first time I met them, I never had felt such an instant connection with somebody before. We had so much in common, not just personality-wise, but we all just had this same passion for space, and we just talked for ages and ages and ages, and I feel like that's just such a valuable experience, especially, in an industry that's, my guy friends are great, but there's just something unique about hanging out with like 6 other women and everybody just being so passionate about the same thing you are. So the people are definitely the best part of the program.
My favorite memory is when our names got released, the 36 girls, and the fellowship Facebook page was released too, and you just see your phone blowing up. Everyone posting like, "Oh my God, I'm so nice to meet everybody." Literally, like I was at work and school, just looking at my phone, trying to keep up with everybody's posts. That was like so overwhelming and so fun. And then when you meet them, my favorite night in the summit was the first night when you put faces to everybody's names and everyone's personalities, and we went around the room and introduced ourselves. And
it took an hour just
and
because we kept talking.
And then we asked questions like, "What is your spirit vegetable?" And everyone went in circle and said like, "What is your spirit vegetable?" And we should do that here too. By the way.
Say, what is your spirit vegetable?
I think, what did I say? Did I say
weird answers?
There were.
Yeah, I think I said kale. I love kale so much. I think that was my spirit vegetable.
Mine was definitely sugar snap peas, and will always be sugar snap peas.
I think I said tomato because it's a little all over the place. Doesn't know if it's a fruit or a vegetable, right? It's
What is yours?
I've never been asked what my spirit vegetable is. Probably banana, because it's just fun to say.
But it's not,
that's a
that's not
fruit.
it's a fruit or vegetable.
Doesn't matter.
okay.
So I think
is
someone
wrong.
said cheese was there. No, bacon. It was bacon.
And then their answer was because always bacon.
Yeah. So
that's
I
good.
mean, you can't really argue with that.
Going around.
That's That's really difficult. The first thing that popped into mind was asparagus, because I like to pretend that I'm tall and slender. I have kind of a weird top, and I might leave you with a funky smell.
I love it.
That's a good answer. The best, that's the best answer.
Yeah, I'm not going to follow
Yeah.
that.
And yet you are.
That's unfair. I think I said Romanesco cauliflower because it's that weird fractal.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a
Messed
good
up
one.
one. So,
Yeah.
no, not as funny. Sadly.
I guess mine would be a zucchini
love
because it's
zucchini.
very versatile. You could do a
It
lot
is,
of things to
yeah.
it. You could chop it up. You can get little strings of it. You could fry it if
Make
you
it
want
into
to.
noodles.
You know?
You can make it into pasta,
So,
apparently.
yes, exactly. So,
I'm gonna change my answer to bacon because
Bacon.
you're still
changed-
wrong.
Nobody said potato, which is a kind of a.
Potato.
Yeah.
I
I think
changed
someone
mine
at the fellowship did
to
say
okra because
Okay.
at the conference they had like fried okra and I
Oh, it
was
was
eating
so
it like
good.
till the end of the night. Literally after everyone came back to the hotel, they saw me eating it. They're like, "Okay, your spirit vegetable is okra." So that's what I did.
apparently Doka Doka says Jared is a pineapple.
And I agree with that. So
Yeah,
I can't disagree with that. So
Actually, I'd love to know what the chat room, because we all had to do it. You have to do it now.
What's your spirit vegetable?
What's your spirit vegetable? Also, in After Dark, if you're watching on demand, you are now required to comment on the video with your spirit vegetable.
that
It's
would
going to be
be
amazing.
amazing.
Yes.
It's going to be amazing when we forget because these get released.
And then just like randomly somebody's just like, oh, I'm an eggplant. And you're like, cool.
Oh yes, this
What's
needs to
up
be
with that?
this needs to be on Twitter. So here's what's going to happen because and no context.
No, but I like the reasoning behind it though.
I would love to see just
Hashtag spirit vegetable.
hashtag spirit vegetable. You can hashtag tomorrow if you want, and then just what is your spirit vegetable, but like no context. I think that would be fun.
And
This
in,
question
and in
got asked at a really, really serious conference for the was it the Congress something?
Oh,
What
is it the
it?
Future Space Leaders?
Yeah.
Forum?
yeah.
Yeah, it was really serious.
And someone asked, "What's your?"
Lori said it.
Leader's
That's
gonna lead.
amazing.
Yeah. It was originally, what is your spirit animal at a SEDS meeting that I had, and I was like, no, let's do vegetables, and now everyone uses vegetables.
And plus, the spirit vegetable kind of avoids, the culturally sensitive
Yeah.
topic of spirit animal.
Oh
and
yeah,
how.
totally.
So and it's still fun. And, it's still fun and it has the spirit of it, but not okay. I didn't mean
Right.
that pun, but yeah. So we thought,
In the same vein.
spirit vegetable is great. And thank you for bringing that to the world.
I love it.
All you.
Lance asks, "What is your future dream job?"
Ooh.
Other than astronaut.
What, they can be astronaut? Well,
No,
look,
that's too easy
that's
though.
too- yeah.
Everyone's going to answer
Wait.
That would be
astronaut.
my side job.
Sure,
there
yeah.
are astronauts that
good side
have,
hustle.
there's mission specialist who's an astronaut. There
Yeah.
are, like,
Yeah, but I'm just saying going to going to space doesn't count. We all want to go to space,
did
right?
you really
so
think
you
that
can
these
work
girls
in
all of a
space.
sudden would just cheapen out on an answer like that?
I know. I'm hurt.
I have
Exactly,
I have
thank
an
you.
answer. I want to build the most powerful engine that takes the next human to Mars or to whatever planet we chooses. So I've always liked to go to space, but I never worked in that path. Like, I don't speak Russian, I didn't work to be an astronaut, but I am working towards building powerful vehicles and powerful engines. That's why I'm a propulsion engineer, to take whoever wants to go to space to another planet. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, something that I really want to do is be in the room where it happens, so to speak. Like mission operations, I think is really interesting to me, and communicating with the satellites or communicating with astronauts and kind of being that liaison between what's happening up there and what's happening down here. I think that would be my dream job, to be kind of in charge of making sure everything works together. And plus, I just want the headset. I want to be at the computer. Like, not gonna lie, I think that would be
cool
really
chair
cool.
with your name on it.
Exactly. That would definitely, that'd be pretty great. And also go to space.
Arms.
I think mine would be either starting my own company or being in the early stages of a startup. I just love the environment that a startup kind of creates. I think that excitement and that giving everything you have to working on a project is something that really motivates me. So I definitely want to be in that type of environment.
What would your company make, or do, or build, or be based on?
I don't know. I am definitely into materials. Like I think there's just so much cool stuff that can be done with them. So maybe something like in space manufacturing materials.
Yeah, we can discover the next element to build a really powerful material to manufacture the next engine.
So then I was going to ask you, what are your favorite fuels to use on an engine, right? Because you have so many choices.
I mean, I really love working with methane. It's freaking cool. It produces really cool colors, and these are the engines that SpaceX are building. And I kind of started working on a methane engine in SEDS at UC San Diego, but then I graduated. So hopefully after I finish really mastering how to work with LOX and RP1, I could move on to methane. Yeah.
And then for mission management, you are, I am your opposite. Like everything you described, I'm like, nope, 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 no, I don't want the headset. I don't want the, I don't want, yeah, well, because
You chose poorly.
I did choose poorly.
Ben is wrong.
Push it to the screen, push it to the screen. But from a mission management side, would it be like in front of the mission, during the mission, after? Thank you, Dada. After, where in that do you kind of want to be in that process? Like during the launch, during what is the?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, they have that cute and ready to go. Oh yeah,
it's a permanent.
That's really like one of the permanent.
It's like F1.
So the question is like, you know, where all of it. I feel like I would really love to take one mission and go through the whole process. Be there at its conception, help. I mean, I don't know if this is even a job you can have, but be there kind of at its conception and like help planning and figuring out what the mission is all the way until, you know, and during it as well. I feel like there's something to be benefited from somebody who knows all the ins and outs of a particular project, but like not just one system of it, but like the whole thing and how it all works together. And I feel like that's, so yeah, kind of beginning and in the middle of, kind of in between those two.
All right, so
it's possible my female cousin does that at JPL. So.
Yeah. I was going to say, we're starting the company to create the large engines that create the largest vehicles that will be maintained. Yep, but boom, magic happened right here.
There you go.
All right.
No, I'm sure there'll definitely be a lot of the Brookies working together on projects in the future. Either same company, cross company, like it's gonna happen for sure.
Well, our secret plan is for 36 of y'all and the ones who follow after. You're gonna take over the ISS when the governments are done with it.
Yep.
And they're gonna rename it the Brookies Orbital Space Station
Oh,
or
yes.
BOSS.
Oh my!
That'd be cool.
Nice,
I love
pretty
it.
boss.
That would be. Yeah.
I love it.
We could just go to space whenever we want.
Is there anything that you wish I had asked?
I just want to make a comment.
Yeah.
Your shirt, I just noticed your shirt has 3 women in it.
Yeah, that's why I chose it.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And where
Thank you.
where can you get that?
This is a Woot shirt, so woot.shirt.com.
Okay. Awesome. I appreciate your shirt.
Is that because I'm a connoisseur of space shirts myself? So
Yes, I noticed.
I feel like, oh yeah, thank you. I actually, you can't, obviously you can't see it, but I have embroidery on this particular one, which is why I wore it. But I had to sit in with my closet and just like, do I wear this shirt, space shirt?
Right?
Do I wear the Star Wars, Star Trek, the space poem? But this is, decided on this one, so.
Nice.
All right, I think we are winding down. I forgot to do this during the show because I'm a terrible human being. I believe next week's show, assuming we have one, is after daylight saving stops. So that means if you are watching live now and you change your clock, the time for the show will change. It will be 1 hour earlier for you. If you do not change your clock, the time for the show will not change. Fun factoid, only about 50% of the world actually honors daylight saving time.
Also,
and not even the entire U.S. honors daylight saving time.
And they don't even do it all at the same time necessarily.
That's why we start these warnings and then send them out for several weeks. The show is 1800 Coordinated Universal Time, and Coordinated Universal Time does not have daylight saving time because daylight saving time is stupid.
Well, apparently some people have already changed.
So I'm sorry.
Failed on multiple levels.
I'm sorry. I thought Europe went a week after us, not a week before us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry,
tomorrow.
Europe.
Yes.
We're changing tomorrow, yeah.
But Zapfan says that they've already changed.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Zap fan.
1800 UTC.
1800 UTC, always. 1800 UTC. If you ever change your clock, that means that the time for the show is changing for you. I will send out notices. And
that means we got to get up an hour earlier to be in the studio.
Yeah, Toby's saying UK changed last week.
Yeah, Switzerland more than one changed.
Wow.
Getting
Australia apparently changed last month, but with Australia and the other side
Australia
of the
is
world,
like
it's
half time
I don't know what's going on anymore.
They're ridiculous.
A lot of international viewers then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's part of why we don't. It's part of why we only advertise the show in UTC because. Look, if I tell it to you in some other time zone, then everyone has to do an offset at that point. So let's just make it horrible for everyone.
I like that. I like that
Equal opportunity offender.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, that's After Dark this week. Thank you everyone so much for joining, and we may or may not see you next week. Check our Twitter account and Facebook. It was a pleasure and an honor, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. All right.
Good luck with your applications.
See you guys.
Yes. Bye.